and you're passionate about shipping because that's your main business. And so like, we're just going to hop right into this because obviously the number one thing, there's like 7 things, but let me go for the number one thing that people are posting in Facebook right now about shipping is what is going on with air shipping, air freight from China. Can you explain what's happening and how you suggest managing the situation?
Yeah, definitely. So basically what we are seeing and witnessing is something that has never ever happened. Even when I speak to my colleagues that has been like in 50 years in the shipping industry, nobody has seen anything like it at all. Like air freight prices, instead of being $3-4 a kilo on usual times, they are now $15-16-17 a kilo. All right. And it's not about price anymore, it's about capacity. If you can find that place, if you can book that space on that aircraft, because capacity is at 0. Think about it. Like, again, I've been telling it to people, and people don't really realize that most of the cargo that's being shipped by air is going on passenger airlines, like regular airlines that you and me fly on. That's like 90% of the world cargo by air freight goes on passenger airline. Right now, there are no passengers, right? Pandemic situation, airlines just closed. All planes are grounded. So there are just no flights. And what happens is some airlines are trying to utilize their passenger aircraft to cargo only, but that doesn't help driving the price down. It just drives the price up. And what happens is that most of the cargo goes from regular air freight. It now goes to the air express carriers like DHL, FedEx, UPS, because these guys run cargo flights, right? And what happened is it became that like 90% of the cargo moved to air carriers, like air express carriers, and they didn't expect that overload. They couldn't handle it. Like, it's like 1,000% increase in volumes all of a sudden that you need to deal with, and that's create like major problems, especially going out of China, like for exports out of China. And what we've seen is just they have every single day. Listen to that! Every single day they release new restrictions. For example, the restrictions for this week. By the way, China's went on their holiday today for 5 days, Labor Day. But for the past week, FedEx was limiting every airway bill, which means every shipment you would get out, they would limit it for 50 kilo per airway bill. So, for example, if you have like a 500 kilo shipment, that would be split into 10 different shipments, 10 smaller shipments, and they would pick up only 1 shipment per day. So it will basically take you like 10 days to pick it up. And then the transit time, instead of 2 to 4 days, it becomes like 7 to 12 days. So 10 days to pick up, another 12 days to move it, and you're like 22, 24 days. And that's like almost like ocean. But even though people are still going crazy for air, because, a lot of people switch to doing like COVID-19 products, all these personal protection equipment, and people are still paying hundreds and thousands of dollars just to move the products because they need it fast and they can't really wait for ocean. That's the situation for air. It's pretty crazy. We are all really looking forward for things to getting back to normal. And a lot of people are asking, and we'll see that questions here as well, when the situation will be back to normal. And the question to that, in my opinion, I mean, nobody really knows, but in my opinion, the rates by air will go down only when people start flying again. Only when skies will be open again and airlines will be operating like regularly, and that's when we're gonna go back to normal times for air shipping. Ocean shipping, on the contrary, is not really affected. Prices are still just on normal levels. Transit times are okay. We were very afraid and very worried about the US part, the US side, with the pandemic, how our ports are going to operate, how our, drivers, truck drivers, port employees. But fortunately, that has been working very well, and we don't see any special delays, anything. So ocean freight, just as normal. No problem there at all. Prices are just as normal. So that's the good things. That's the good news about the whole situation. So if you are moving your products by ocean, you shouldn't get affected. Whichever forwarder you work with, you should know that the prices shouldn't be higher than normal times. It's just regular.
Okay, that's good to know. So, for are there other forms that people can do? Like for the people who sell in Europe, is there any circumstances where by train, it's better the other way as opposed to ocean?
China.
Somebody asked that question here. I'll try and find it.
China, Europe has a train service, and the train service is like the kind of a middle tier service between air and ocean. It'll be a bit cheaper than air, but a bit faster than ocean. Kind of just in the middle between air and ocean. It works. It's operational. Europe has been affected much, more severely than the US. Like operational wise. So we used to see a lot of delays in Europe, but it looks like in the past 2 weeks things are getting slowly like back on track with like delays are getting shorter and less problems. So a rail service from China to Europe would be a good option. It's not as good as ocean because China to Amazon, going to Amazon for all the Amazon sellers, that the shipping to Amazon industry is evolved so much that there are so many goods going there and such a huge volume that on ocean and on air there are consolidated container, consolidated air freight where we have just like pool of clients going to the same location and we consolidate them all, and that really helps to drive the price down. On a train service, it doesn't exist. It doesn't really exist, that consolidation service. So it's not that efficient yet for Amazon as ocean or air. But I would assume it'll evolve in the next year or two. But it's still operational. It's not as fast and as a mature product like a consolidated air or consolidated ocean directly to Amazon. But it's definitely working and it's definitely an option.
Right. Question from Simone. What are your recommendations for shipping to the East Coast? I mean, is there anything different between West Coast and East Coast, or should somebody ship to West Coast and go via ground over America?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And the answer for that would be, it depends on the size and the weight of your shipment, right? There are two ways to go to the East Coast, either through Panama Canal from China, right, to New Jersey, New York ports, or Miami and Florida down south. Transit time by ocean would be 32 days port to port. I'm not talking about the operational time in China. That's another 5 to 6 days. I'm not talking about after the vessel arrives to the port, the unloading and unloading the container, sort and segregation, blah blah blah. But port to port, China to the East Coast, you're talking about 32, 33 days. China to Los Angeles, Long Beach to the West Coast, you're looking at about 15, 16 days port to port. So a lot of sellers, when they can't wait for like 40 days to ship directly to the East Coast, they'll go via Long Beach, via the West Coast. But if your shipping is very big and very bulky and volumetric, it'll be very, very expensive to move it by ground or by rail. It depends on your requirements. Some of the services we operate are an ocean container, consolidated ocean container from our warehouses in China to Long Beach warehouse, and from Long Beach we could distribute it with SPD carrier like FedEx Ground, UPS Ground, which is very, very fast, but it'll be much more expensive than just moving it on a rail, right, from Long Beach to the East Coast. So there are different types of services to move from the West Coast to the East Coast. It really depends on how fast you need your product, how much you want to spend on that, and what's your budget, but it all comes down to the requirement. If you need it like from China to East Coast in 20 days, we can get it, but that will probably be the most expensive ocean product you can buy, right? So there are different products, in freight forwarding to meet that need to go to East Coast via the West Coast. And it really depends on the budget and the requirement, on how fast you need it. And I would recommend everybody to talk to their freight forwarders. They would be, they would have the best advice for them. They would know their product. They would know their actual volume of the shipping. They'll be able to give the best advice on that.
Okay, we got another question here from Varsha. This is kind of interesting. It's the opposite of what most people do, right? What about the best economical shipping way to do international shipping from the US to different countries?
Mm-hmm. And it really depends on the size of your shipment. Like, let's say you have a 50 kilo, 100 kilo, 200 kilo shipment. The most economical way would be actually air shipping, Air Express, DHL, FedEx, UPS. If you're going over like 2-3 pallets, that would be obviously ocean freight. And it really depends on the destination country, right? We ship a lot of products from the US to Japan, to Australia, to Europe, and vice versa, from Australia to the US or from Europe to the US. I would say the rule of thumb, if you have less than 200 kilo, you should go by air, because it'll be cheaper than ocean, because it'll be too small for an ocean shipment. If you have over 2 pallets, like 300, 400 kilos and above, you can start considering ocean as well to save some money. But again, it all comes down to your requirement. Can you wait 30, 40 days, or do you need it like in a week?
Okay, we got a question here. What are your thoughts about Amazon Global Shipping Service? Is it more expensive?
Well, that's a very interesting question. A lot of, many freight forwarders were very interested to see how these products gonna evolve by Amazon. Right now, we know they call it the Dragon Boat project. They offer it only to sellers in China or very big volume sellers. Right now, they only operate full container loads, all right? And you gotta have an entity, a US-based entity, in order to work with them. I don't know about the rates. I know this. They have a very, very big advantage on other freight forwarders, because if you have a full container load and on usual terms, and when you create your shipping plan and you work with your freight forwarder, Amazon will split it into 3 different, fulfillment centers. When you work with Amazon, they'll only send it to one fulfillment center. So that's a great advantage. And only that, I'm a freight forwarder. Yeah, it's like my competition, but I give them a compliment here, because only that, if you are able to join that program, and if you're having a full container load, that usually you get split into 3 different locations. If you work with Amazon Shipping, they'll give you 1 location, and only that would save you at least on a full container load between $1,000 to $3,000. Only that.
Okay.
So if you can use it and you have full container loads, try that out. I don't know about their service. I don't know about their service levels, because I haven't tried it myself, obviously. But I would be very interested to know if somebody's actually used them, and how are the service level like. Do you have somebody to talk to? Because we all know how Amazon treats third-party sellers. With support, it's not the best customer service you can get, right? So I would be very interested to know from the seller's perspective, from guys who actually work with Amazon, how did that go?
Do you estimate ocean freight will get more crowded in the next month, but for any reason at all, like maybe due to that holiday, or any other reason?
Well, basically, whenever China has an holiday, the week after their holiday, when they just came back, a lot of orders are piling up. So they are a little bit overloaded. But again, ocean freight has so much capacity, like vessels coming in and out. China is like the biggest exporter in the world. So we don't expect any special delays or any, backlogs on ocean, because it's just 5 days holiday. It's not like a Chinese New Year where they are gone for 3-4 weeks. I wouldn't expect any special delay or or backlog over the next month.
Have you noticed from your clients a bigger percentage of your clients now shipping to warehouses and 3PLs as opposed to directly to Amazon?
Yeah, that's huge. It became a very big pain in the ass for us freight forwarders, because we would get on our customer service teams, we would get about 50 to 70 new requests per day, and I've analyzed those in the past 2 weeks, and 95% of them are not able to send more than 50, 100 units to Amazon. So all of them now are going to 3PLs, except for the really big high volume sellers that they still have their terms with Amazon and they're still allowed to ship full container loads. Most of the new sellers or beginners are only allowed to ship between 50 to 100 units to Amazon. And obviously your shipping plan is much bigger than that. Your shipment is much bigger than 50 units. So you need to start working with 3PLs. On the other side, 3PLs are now booming with the new clients going in. I would suggest if you're based in the US and if you have a fairly smaller order, like less than one pallet, like 10 boxes, 20 boxes, ship it to your house, ship it to your home, keep it in your garage, send it with UPS ground, FedEx ground to Amazon. It will save you so much money because I don't know if a lot of people know that, but working with a 3PL, we own 3PLs as well in the US, in New Jersey, in Los Angeles, but as a seller, working with a 3PL on low volume, it doesn't really make sense because there are a lot of costs involved with working with 3PLs. Like you're going to pay for your cargo coming in, put it in storage, build pallets. Whenever you need to take it out, there's somebody that needs to go with a forklift to take it out. There are fees for every single movement. And if you have, I don't know, a pallet or 2 pallet shipment, like a small shipment, it doesn't really make sense. Working with a 3PL, you're gonna add up at least the minimum. You would add up at least $300, $400 on your order just to get it processed through the 3PL, in, out, reports. So if you have a smaller order, I would really recommend sending it to your home, to your garage, whatever. Just try dealing with it because you can save a lot of money there.
Okay. What about the question I see here? Let me show this lock from Annette here. As lockdown, let me read it there. As lockdown easing is expected to be a gradual process, and therefore passenger flights expected to be slowly increasing, would you say air shipping prices are going to remain high for a long time?
Well, that really depends on us humans. When we will start feeling safer and flying again, because obviously if things are going to get better, but people are still afraid to fly, obviously the airlines won't run the same amount of flights they usually run. So again, as long as the capacity won't open, as long as we won't see the number of flights we are used to see, the rates will still remain higher than usual. But right now we don't have any flights. Airlines are not flying, so rates are going through the roof, getting up to $20 a kilo. I would expect that if things are gradually opening up and there are fewer flights, but I would expect prices would start driving down. That would drive prices down, but nobody really knows. In my opinion, rates will remain high for the whole of 2020. That's my opinion.
He says, Ankitas, what is considered best price per kilo for more than 1,000 kilogram goods? Express sea shipment from China that includes all costs. I'm sure obviously, size and things that we'll have to deal with it, but just express sea per kilo price compared to regular speed ocean shipments, what's usually the difference?
All right, so I'll explain a little bit about Express Sea. Express Sea is basically a product where we use Matson shipping line. Matson is a US-based shipping line, which is the fastest. They have the fastest vessels to Long Beach. That's like 11, 12 days port to port. And once that vessel arrives, we'll take it to our 3PL and use UPS ground and FedEx ground to distribute. This will allow you to go, to Amazon, Southern California from China in like 18, 19 days, and to the East Coast in like 20 days, 19 days. That's very, very fast service. The usual price for 1,000 kilos of good depends on the final destination. But if you're looking at, a Western location like Southern California location, you're looking at about $1.2 to $1.7 a kilo. If you're looking at the East Coast, you're looking at $1.5 to $2 a kilo.
Okay, good, very good. ship to other ports of entry other than California, New York, I'm thinking of getting a 3PL in Texas. Would it be cheaper but take a little longer than sea shipping to California?
Yeah, basically every freight forwarder, Unicargo included, ships to anywhere the client needs. You know, if we ship to Long Beach, we ship to any other port as well. Texas, going into Texas, you have two ways: either go through Long Beach, Los Angeles, or either go through Houston. If you're looking at an LCL shipment, if you don't have your full container load, that would always go through Los Angeles, Long Beach, all right, through the West Coast, always. So obviously, it would be more expensive to send it to Texas than to send it to Los Angeles. Because you go through Los Angeles, then you have another leg via rail to Dallas. All right, so it will always be more expensive. Again, shipping by ocean from China would be the cheapest. The cheapest would be to go to Long Beach because that's the shortest and fastest route. Any other leg that you'll add up, like a trucking leg or a rail leg, will just add more cost because you need to drive more for more distance. You know.
Okay. All right. Well, there's still some more questions here that we weren't able to get to. So if you can, please hop on either YouTube or Facebook, Raphael, after this to answer some of those. Otherwise, how can people ask you questions directly to your company, or how can they find out about your services?
Well, we're pretty active on the Facebook groups, Helium 10 group. You can just tag me with questions. I'll be happy to answer everything. You can Google Unicargo. You can go into our website, post a comment, contact us through our forms there, request a quote. Basically, we're all over the media, the social media like Facebook, Instagram, our website. We are very interactive. We always love to talk to our clients. But I think the best way would just go into Helium 10 group, just tag me with a question, and everybody can see, and we can interact about that. We can create a conversation about it. I'll love to help.
Awesome. And then guys, remember, look him up. Just type in Unicargo at helium10.com/podcast so you can get the full info there. Thank you very much for joining us, Raphael.
Thank you, Bradley, for having us.
Go to sleep now. Come on, it's crazy. 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning.